Welcome to the next episode of VCF Breakroom Chats. I'm Shobhit Bhutani, Product Marketing Manager here at VCF Division Broadcom. I'm the Product Marketing Lead for AI and Gen AI. I lead messaging and positioning of AI ML and all associated launches. In this series, we bring VCF, VMware, and partner experts to discuss VCF and associated technologies. These fabulous experts also share their backgrounds, industry trends, and general tips for IT technical experts and our customers. I'm particularly excited today to bring Chris Wolf, Global Head of AI and Advanced Services, VCF Division in Broadcom, in today's episode to discuss Sovereign AI. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Shobhit. Great to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did this, Chris, so pretty happy to get you back on the camera. Wonderful. So let's get right into it. So, Chris, you've had a pretty amazing career journey. Like, I've known you for about 3-4 years at this point, right? But I think it would be really cool for the audience, right? For me as well, honestly, right? To hear a little bit more about your career journey as you progress, right? From military to now as Global Head of AI and Advanced Services. Pretty awesome journey.
Yeah, it's definitely been exciting, that's for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I say if you rewind all the way back to high school, I was much more interested in my comedy routine than really some of my next steps. I looked at my class experience as just a way to work on my material every day, which I certainly could have went to college after high school, but I knew that I needed to take another step and I wanted to serve my country as well. So I enlisted in the U.S. Marines. I started in the Marines as an avionics technician and uh, quickly got the innovation bug. I didn't realize it as a big deal at the time, but I've been more appreciative of it when I got older. But I had reverse engineered several pieces of avionics equipment and was able to build test systems for those locally on the base, which was saving the base at the time. This goes into the early 90s, millions of dollars a year. Um, that really got me excited about innovation and what can come next. I also wound up uh, doing desktop PC support as a collateral, what's called a collateral duty or an extra job as a Marine, and that's what really started moving me towards IT. It took me a good 10 years to go all the way from nothing to a master's degree, and I've kind of encouraged my own kids to take a different path than dad. Be smarter about your education. Don't make life so hard for yourself. But yeah, that's kind of got me started. I've worked in a number of tech companies, did some teaching along the way, and eventually now I've been at, VMware, now Broadcom, for the last 11 and a half years, running different innovation functions for the company, and now artificial intelligence, I guess, for the last 3 or 4 years.
Wonderful, very nice. What a fascinating journey. On another day, we should talk about some of the stuff from your old, working in test equipment, etc. And the avionics side. I actually have a manufacturing background for the first 10 years of my career, so there's some common themes actually we can chat about there. I'm sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the topic here, sovereign AI, right? Why has sovereign AI gotten so much attention these days? We hear about it all the time from different governments, particularly in the last year or so, right? And I think this space has a lot of like regulatory, etc., things going on, right, on the sovereign AI space, particularly. So if you can just kind of help the audience understand some of the regulatory framework, etc., and the things going on there. It's a pretty hot moving space, so I think that would be pretty beneficial.
Yeah, sure. There's definitely a lot going on. It is a fast-moving space. You do see guidelines from various government entities in lots of different places around the world, right? From the EU AI Act, things like DORA. Europe has long had GDPR. That's really governed data for a number of years now. And we've seen a switch in some guidelines even in the United States as the administrations have changed over. But at the end of the day, if you were to look at what are these organizations and these government entities driving towards? It's often flexible, resilient systems that provide choice for their different, local businesses or government agencies as well. And there's a huge emphasis on data privacy and protecting data, ensuring that not just like a data plane for a particular AI service is being housed in region, but often the control planes associated with that as well. So this is, this, and you look at some of the global dynamics, this is definitely driving these types of initiatives. And it's an area that we're lucky in that, lucky, I guess maybe that's a wrong word, but from the very get-go, we had been designing our systems for these types of scenarios, and it's certainly, I'd say, been accelerated by the global trends.
Wonderful. So that's really, really helpful, right? And then I think the other couple of things that I hear a lot about, right, that just to add to your answer there, right, is the EU Act, GDPR, things like that become a critical driver in some of these conversations these days, right? Because the EU's pretty much led the charge, it feels like it, the rest of the world, right, on putting together a really strong framework around this, right? So yeah, so thanks for that. Now, it is an interesting challenge, right? You've been kind of like our chief architect as well as our executive for AI, right? Last 3 4 years at this point. Uh, what When we started the journey for private AI, right? I think the some of the stuff you already put into the framework initially is now I think we're really going to bear the fruits of it. But if I step back and just want to understand what it takes to be compliant with sovereign AI, how would you explain some of those things to the audience?
Yeah, yeah. So like if I go back to the early days when VMware as a company was building generative AI services, there was concerns our legal team had around data privacy and control. And we also had technical concerns around the fact that the space was moving so fast that we needed to have the ability to be able to onboard and share models very quickly, change models as market demands dictate, and things like that. But then we were also focused on other things, like I mentioned before. So if you think about what really goes into a good sovereign AI solution, first it's choice, having the ability to choose between a variety of accelerators, being able to run different AI models and services, being able to then take those models and bring it to where your data resides. So not only does my data stay in region, but it also stays within data formats that I own and control. I'm not having to move to somebody else's proprietary data format just to gain the benefits of AI. Right? I have to be compliant with these national AI regulations. And they're often things that I've mentioned here around choice, privacy, control of the data, localization of the model. You need to have secure and safeguard controls for access to the AI models. I want to have an audit trail as well, be able to enforce that. And beyond that too, like I said, it's not just around the ability to support different models, but you also have to look at how open and extensible the platform is. And this is something that was really key to us from the very beginning. Our default model runtime is open source VLLM. We have an OpenAI compatible API. Our data collection service, our data indexing service is based on open source Llama Index. And you'll see this really across the board in terms of the architectural decisions we made. That would include the CNCF compliant Kubernetes. So why all does this matter? It's that, we've been taking this platform approach to AI. And when you look at sovereign AI, what you want to make sure of is not just that you have this reliable platform that offers choice, but you don't have the stickiness either. And that's why all of our northbound interfaces are open source APIs. So, for our approach, it's been let's win the business on merit and the strength of our platform and solution, and never feel that we have to do anything artificial, right, to make the platform sticky. People should want to run on the platform because it's so good.
Wonderful. And I think you covered a lot about what VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA does, right?
Hmm.
Anything else you want to add to the strengths of our platform? And then maybe what's the feedback you're hearing from customers when they hear about our capabilities?
Yeah, yeah. I think that, there's a couple key things on the strengths because there's a lot of choice out there, right? Like for us, we're saying, use whatever models you want, whatever services you want, just take a platform approach and have that optionality. And people will say, well, can I do that with somebody else? And sure you can. But I'd say when you start to look under the covers, AI is about being able to run these, massive microservices applications at scale and be able to, allocate the right amount of capacity when. And while all of the focus is on the GPU, I need to make sure I'm allocating the right network capacity given the size of a model, or the right data IO, or the right memory, or the right number of CPUs. And this is things that we've been doing for decades now. And based on the strength of our underlying technology, we can do this better than anybody. In fact, we can stand up an AI model into production using the most performant optimized kernels, the correct device drivers for the accelerator, and so forth, and do all of that in under an hour. What we hear from customers with even a really good data science team, that might take them a couple weeks to just iterate that for one model. The other benefit that we offer is that we're allowing you to pool and share your AI capacity. We see a lot of these sovereign solutions that are using these physical siloed racks of servers. And what winds up happening is, in a lot of cases, you might be using 40 to 60% of the capacity. And that's because in a lot of the cases, these systems are not very good at maximizing capacity utilization. So you wind up with oftentimes having to put more energy per rack into your data centers, really reconfiguring the entire data center footprint based on an expected power envelope. And in some cases, you can't use the full out power envelope because these systems just aren't efficient enough. Our approach to virtualizing and sharing your capacity without having to sacrifice any performance means you can max these systems out up to 100%. And by intelligently pooling all of that capacity, the benefit you also have here is power savings. So you're using less power per data center to run these services. And the other big one here is total cost of ownership. We're hearing from our customers, our delta or what we're providing to them is up to 3 to 5x lower than what they see with competing solutions. So you get a better TCO, far better. You get the best automation and load balancing capabilities in the industry, all of the resiliency that folks have come to expect from us. And you have choice of accelerators and choice of models and services. Like it's a very pragmatic bet to bet with us because the space is moving so quickly, and we can help you navigate all of those changes as the world changes because we know it will.
Very nice. So this all jives really well with me. I think what stood out to me what was those big numbers you mentioned, right? Is 3 to 5x better, right? And then some of the latest studies we're actually publishing now, right? Is where in some cases against public clouds we're 90% lower than in cost models, right? Which is phenomenal amounts of savings that that IT can see. And then the other piece I would say is from the standpoint of sovereign AI, right? Our platform was built on privacy, security, and doing the things that customers want in their data centers, right? Which is a massive principle of sovereign AI, right? So I think that's just two things I wanted to add to that. Any last feedback, last thing about any customer feedback you're getting, like about potential customers, like what's their feedback when you talk to them?
Yeah, the feedback has been really strong. It's sometimes people are like, they need to hear about our value first, and then when they get so surprised at what they can get in terms of flexibility and choice at a lower cost, people get really excited. And the other thing too is, say you're new to AI and you're trying to effectively serve these AI applications, but you don't have all the skills. Well, this is where it can really work out well in your favor. Like you look at NVIDIA NIMs, NVIDIA Inference Microservices, you have upwards of 100 plus different AI services that you can deploy very quickly. And through our partnership with NVIDIA, you're getting access to these services oftentimes the very day that a new model is available. So that matters because now your data scientists or application developers can quickly gain access to the latest and greatest. All of that is automated and laid out for them. And again, you can serve all of this as an IT professional without having to know all of the ins and outs of what some of these services do, and you can still serve all of your different lines of business. So that's been one of the ahas is like we've had a couple of customers tell us, we have the sophisticated customers, but we also have customers that are like, hey, I don't know how all this works, but I know I can serve up what my different lines of business need and do it super efficient. And that's what they're asking of me, and that's what I'm giving them.
Fantastic. And so the last thing that comes to my mind, just a plug for the rest of the team. I just got through a fantastic demo from Elliot, who works on Chris's team, right? For some really cool services. We shared Model Store last year at Vegas, right? At Vegas Explore. And now Elliot just walked me through some really cool demos about the new capabilities that are going to come with VCF 9.0, right? Which are going to even better kind of help with some of these things that Chris just mentioned. So stay tuned. It's coming and it's coming soon. Um, so with that, we're coming a close to this episode. Thank you so much today for joining me, Chris. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Always fun, Shobhit. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. And with that, we've come to the end of this episode. If you like this episode, join in for the next time. This is your host, Shobhit Bhutani, signing off. Have a fabulous day, evening, night, and week. Bye bye till next time.